how to achieve male independence. So we've made a lot of videos lately on not getting married, MGTOW, incels. There's a big movement right now with men where I think enough was enough. You know, a lot of guys got very pissed off. They don't have control of their lives anymore. A lot of men feel emasculated. And although society will say, oh, this is men's problem, this is your problem, men need to be more secure, etc. There's a lot of things in society right now, including women, not blaming women for all of these, that are making men feel a lot worse about how they are. And no, there's not a voice for men out there. So what I want to do, I'm going to do a podcast with one of the best financial advisors in the country right now. And I'm talking about the UK. So the British Isles in general. He's in the top 1%. He's superb. He's got about 20 years experience, I believe. He's going to come on this podcast and we're going to talk about what men can do in order to improve their finances and then protect their finances against things like marriage, etc. So he's going to be coming on the podcast. That's going to be really fun. He's actually got his own channel, so I'll try and link that on the day when he's here. But for the sake of this video, it's how to achieve male independence. And I wanted to do kind of like a guide for men on what you can do, especially in the first place, like when you're young, when you're going through life, in order to protect yourself against shit going wrong in the future, and to protect yourself against life's leeches. I think that's a nice way to put it. So I think there's four kind of main components here. And I think number one is your boss. These are the four components that kind of take away our freedom. Because male independence is all about freedom. It's about having control of your own life and feeling like you have that masculine power and influence over every decision that you make. So number one is your boss. So your boss can make you feel like shit. Everybody knows that. Your boss can control the hours you work, how much you get paid, can stop you moving forward in life, stop your progression, can just... You know, you could be a guy who's 20 stone, could be, you know, just jacked muscle-wise. And then that same boss will be like, why are you late? Why haven't you done this? Why haven't you done that? And, you know, 200 years ago, you could just be like... But now we're kind of in a society where you have to be like, yes, sir. You know, it could be a 5'2" woman that's telling you to do this and do that and do this and nagging you. There's nothing you can do because they're paying your wages. They're keeping you alive. So you need to attack that component, and we'll get to that later. Number two is women. You can't let women have control over you. You can't let them have kind of control over your finances. You know, spend on this. Let's get married. Let's have kids. Let's have a joint bank account. Let's get a mortgage. You can't have that being controlled, guys. Number three is bills. So this falls on you and you only. You need to be able to manage your bills. Your income needs to be at least double what your outgoings are so that you can save that up year over year and then reinvest it into new ideas, multiple streams of income, etc. So, and the fourth component is time. So you need to be a time manager. You need to be the master of your own time. So you can't have people dictating to you what you want, what they want you to do or where they want you to go, and you can't be giving in, you can't be soft in that sense. So we're going to look at that too, but that's the four main components. And I think I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 points here. And number one, and we touched on this before, is to not get married. Marriage is a terrible blunder in terms of male independence for two reasons. I mean, three reasons. Most men don't actually want to do it in the first place. We kind of get driven into it in order to keep the woman that we already have. Figure that one out. I've never understood that. But mainly because things like marriage cost a shit ton of money. I think the average marriage in the UK is like £19,000 right now, which is an enormous amount of money, and it might take the average man 2 or 3 years to save for. And that means that he's really scrimping. And not having a good life. Now, I get it, you and your girlfriend could go halves. That's still like 10,000 of your money that is going into something where there's zero upside for the man. Now, the other half to that, and it's a lot worse than half, is that around about 60% of your income is gone, is going out the back door if you get divorced. And that's not to mention all the things that come with marriage naturally, like kids, you know, special events. You've got the anniversaries, you've got the honeymoon, you've got did I say kids? You've got mortgage, you've got, you know, everything that comes with that. And yeah, you can get a prenup. As soon as you have kids, you're in the same boat again. So, and if there's rules now where if a woman has lived with you in the same house, I think it's for 8 years, that money's gone too. It's just the same as getting married. And these are rules that are being put in place by the government because they know that people aren't getting married in the numbers that they used to. So they're having to find other ways to get that money out of our pockets. But this is something that we'll discuss with, his name's Ravi. He's coming on the podcast soon. That's something we'll discuss with him about what you can do legally, what you can do as a qualified financial advisor. He's going to tell you the tips and the tricks that you can do to protect your finances. It's going to be really interesting. I used to work with him in that industry when I was younger. I don't know most of the stuff he's going to come out with. So it's going to be really interesting for all of us to learn. Now, number 2 is avoid kids before the age of 40. Now, for a lot of people, especially women, they'll say 40 is too late. But I think men are on different timelines. I think men can be 40 and date a 30-year-old woman and it's perfectly fine and they're perfectly matched. I don't think a 40-year-old woman can date a 30-year-old man and be perfectly matched. I think in the other way around, for some reason, it works. Whether it's men are less mature than women and by the time they get to like 40 and the woman's 30, they kind of want the same things. Maybe it's just a matter of timing. Who really knows? But you think about it, guys. You don't want to have kids in your teens. If you have, unlucky, but that's tough. That's very, very tough because that eats up. Until that kid's 18, let's say you've had that kid at, let's say, 18, you're going to be 36 before that kid potentially leaves. So that's the best years of your life, just gone, just kind of dedicated to that child. Now, if you have a kid in your 20s, slightly better if it's later 20s, but still very, very difficult to have the finances to cope with everything that's going on and push your life forward. Now, rarely some people have a child and it motivates them, it spurs them on to do better and do more. It shouldn't take that. You shouldn't need that to drive yourself forward. And if you've got all of that extra money, and I think figures before said it's something like, this was before current inflation. So I think based on inflation, I'll adjust it. The figures I saw was 80,000, but I think it's roughly 100,000 now. They reckon it costs around about 100,000 UK pounds to raise a child from birth to age 18. It's a lot of money, guys. It's a lot of money that can be reinvested. Guys, you think in your 20s, 80,000, what could you do with that? Or 100,000, what could you do with that? So that would be now, these days, that would be around about 100,000 UK pounds, which in America, 125, 130,000, in Canada, close to 200,000 Canadian dollars. That's a huge amount of money, guys. That could be a couple properties that you could be renting out. That's very difficult. Now, if you have a child in your 30s, for a lot of people, it's the best scenario. And I know the age is going up. I think most people have now, I think it's around 32 is the average age for children. But it's still very tough. These are your real grinding years where you've got things going. You're really into your stride. You have a couple kids, you're going to hit that brick wall. So I think that's why 40 is such a good cap. So I think it doesn't have to be that age, but the later you delay it, usually I think the more successful people are because they can be more selfish, which we'll get to later, and they can put more time into what they're doing. They have more resources, they're less stressed, they're less tired. Everything is dedicated to their life and moving their life forward, which in a way, when you think about it, is actually better for the kids because they're going to have a better life the more successful you are. And even if you had them at 40, you're going to be 58 by the time they're 18. That's not that old. If you keep yourself in shape, that's pretty good. And it's a nice balance too, because you get to fuck around in your teens, maybe your 20s, late 20s and you're in your 30s, you get to grind and build a decent business or something, or career success, whatever it might be, enjoy your own life. And then you've got that third part where you get to enjoy the kind of family life, the kids, etc. That's quite a nice balance if you want to do it that way. But in order to keep that financial independence, that's the first two. Now, the third one is to have multiple streams of income. So a lot of us have seen currently with the coronavirus that if you get furloughed or you lose your job or whatever it might be, they cut your wages down to 80%, you're struggling. A lot of people maybe have £1,000, dollars, whatever it is in their bank account. I think the average is like 1,000 in the UK. If you lose your job, in 2 months, you could be broke. You could be in your overdraft, or you could be below minus. I don't know what you say in America. That's a problem situation that nobody wants to be in. But so many of us are on that precipice where if we lost our jobs, we're in major trouble. We drop below. It's 2 months' time. We're broke. We're below broke. We're in trouble. We're in debt. We're bankrupt. Whatever it might be. You cannot rely solely on your job. That is a big independent factor for men, where we need to find a second income, a third income, a fourth income, a fifth income. A way to make money quickly, legally. Where you can do maybe one set job, or you've got a secondary skill that you can monetize, or you do something else. Just find as many as you can that you can manage without them being jobs as well. Because you don't want 2 9-to-5 jobs. You don't want a day job, a night job, a weekend job, and you just find yourself working, because that's not the point. You maybe want a main job. Maybe you can buy and sell things on Amazon. Maybe you get royalty payments or something. Maybe you can create a couple ebooks on courses. Maybe you can do 1 or 2 group personal training sessions per week that you get $300 for, £300 for. Little things like that. Maybe you trade stocks. It has to be all these little components that you can drag in to make they make a minor effect, but altogether they make a big major impact. And that's the way to do it, guys. But relying solely on your wages is so dangerous, because you never know. I think we're going to hit the biggest recession we've had for a long, long time after this. And I think so many people are going to lose their jobs. So many people are going to lose their businesses, because they're not protecting themselves with a backup income, or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5. The next point is to control your urges and become disciplined. So in order to achieve male independence, you need to be independent from distractions. So being able to get up early and be able to resist sleeping in for longer, or being under those quilts because it's warm. Being able to resist things like porn and masturbation and stay away from them because you're disciplined. Being able to resist procrastination, or not training, not working out. Being able to resist watching TV, Netflix for like 8 hours straight and just binging whilst eating shit food. In order to have control of your life as a man, you need to have that discipline around all of these different areas. You need to be able to wake up and have a structure, write down your daily plan, what you're going to do from this hour to this hour, what's your goals for that day, what you want to achieve, what's your yearly type of plan, what's your long-term plan with this business, or the career that you're in, or the courses that you're trying to achieve in order to get better skills, to get paid more, to then get to this stage and that stage. That all needs to be a plan that you're putting together. You need to be disciplined with your money. So if you need to buy a piece of equipment to reach level 2 of your plan, you can't go and spend that in a strip club, or you can't go down the pub with the boys, or the bar in America, and just drink like 30 or 40 drinks that night and then say, shit, I spent all that money. To be an independent man who has his life under control, you need to be able to control your finances. You need to be able to control your spending. You need to be able to control your habits, your urges. If these things have control over you, now you're just kind of their play toy. You're just a victim to all of these aspects, all of these components that are telling you to do this, to do that. You need to be in control of your own mind first, and then everything else can follow. The next one is to rent the first home that you ever buy. So a lot of people do very well in life. They make a lot of money young. Maybe, I don't know, they manage to put something like 40, 50, 60,000 into their bank account. And then they put it down on a mortgage. And then they live in that house. Now they're just paying mortgage payments, and they're subject to those mortgage payments. And they're just constantly paying them off every single month. Most people never ever pay their mortgage off, so you've just got a ball and chain, and you've just shackled it to your ankles. The first house you ever buy, any house, but the first house you ever buy and you move into, it's gonna be a liability. A lot of people don't realize this. They think as soon as I get a mortgage, I'm on the property ladder, I've achieved in life, I've got an asset that's mine. It's not an asset, it's a liability, because you have to pay for it each month. If you lived in, you might as well be renting. Because then at least you can get out of it quickly. You don't have to wait for the market to go up, to sell, to make a profit, to make some money back. You could make a loss if you didn't, if you have negative equity or something in the current scenario. We'll go through all of this with Ravi. That's going to be fantastic. I can't wait for that. But you might as well be renting real cheap and just living as cheap as possible at the start to save that money up. But one tip that I would give a lot of people is the first home you ever buy or you get a mortgage on, rent it out. Turn it into another income. You've saved up all that money. What are you going to do with it? Most guys go and buy a fucking car, which is the stupidest thing in the world. All that money, you put it onto a house. Okay, it can be an asset or a liability. And then most people put the keys in the door, they open it up and they go and live in there. And then they fill it with a bunch of crap that they don't need. And then, they move the missus in, and then they've got the kids in there, and then their life isn't theirs anymore. As soon as you get that first home, rent it out. Just don't give in to that temptation of having that nice little Osmond kind of life, or the Transylvanian type of life. You've got to move away from that. You've got to step away and say, okay, I'm going to make me some money. I'm going to live in a smaller flat. I'm going to rent it. It's half the price of that mortgage. And that mortgage is going to pay for my rent and then make me more money. Because what you'll get is you'll get enough money eventually to buy another one. And you can do the same again, or you can move into that one. But as long as you have one property that is paying you back, that's another stream of income. But as soon as you move into that property, unless you sell it and then redo what the plan was supposed to be, you've just added an extra bill to your life. Or you've exchanged your rent with your mortgage payments. But you're kind of trapped on this one. So you're not really benefiting. You've saved up all this money, and what have you done with it? You've just given yourself more bills or replacement bills. So you'd be better off renting that first house out, making another income, maybe 400 or 500 extra a month, and then you can use that money for something else. It just eases the financial pressure. The next point is become selfish with your time. What time are we on? Okay. I won't be too selfish with your time, guys. Too many people will get told, oh, we're going to go here tonight. Do you want to come with us? Yeah, sure, I'll come with you. When they really don't want to, but they don't want to upset their friends. Their girlfriend says, oh, I want to go on more dates. I want to go here. I want to go on holiday. I want you to help me pick out dresses, or I want to go to IKEA so that we can pick new furniture. You've got to have that temptation. You've got to have that resistance in you guys to be like, no, I've got to do this. And just be hell-bent. And you'll get some shit for it, but it'll pay off in the end. You've got to be hell-bent on protecting your own time like it's gold. Because time is all we have at the end of the day. You can have as much money as you want, but if you have one day left on this planet, it's pointless. So as much time as you can protect and you can nurture and, put that work into, the better your life is going to be. And the key to being an independent man is to have that time available and to keep it precious and to make it yours. So instead of being at the mercy of other people and saying, okay, I'll be here, I'll be there, I'll do that for you, I'll do that for you, and then not having time to work on your own stuff or do anything for yourself, you need to switch that script and do 90% of stuff yourself, if not more. And then when you get that 5 to 10% occasion, that's when you give back to other people. But it needs to be 90% minimum. And that is very selfish, but it will pay off in the long run. And you'll find the less you do for people, the more they respect it when you finally do something. If you do too much, when you don't do it that one time, everyone's going to hate you. The dynamic's weird. And this connects to the next point, which is be willing to lose friends. So many people are scared of losing their friends or being on their own, or, being victim to or being the subject of other people's opinions. It really doesn't matter. There's a massive key to being an independent man is to not care what people think, not care about, to have friends is good, but if people aren't right for you, you shouldn't be afraid to cut them off. And that is such an alpha male quality that very few people have in our society these days. And the person that is kind of that lone wolf, selfish with their time, very independent, always be successful, will always be attractive, will always attract friends in the future if they need be, and will do best in life in the long run. I guarantee it. They'll be in the best shape. They'll have the best situation. They'll have the best social group if they wanted it, because people want to spend time with them because it's rare. They'll attract the best women. They'll be the most successful. It's weird how it works like that. The next point is learning to say no, which very much bridges off the last two that we just mentioned, but in more senses. So you've got to learn to say no at work. You've got to learn to say no in relationships. You've got to think with your head and your heart. Because if you ask your head about something, you sit there and you think, okay, I'll think with my head. Logically, this is what I want to do, but I don't want to do that. You weigh it up. It's very analytical. It's very logical. You ask your heart and it comes from the passion sector. And for example, let's say if somebody said, what do you want to do? You want to start a business? Do you think it's going to succeed? Your head might say, oh, it's a bit of a risk. You know, I don't know if I can do this. I'm going to upset these people. You ask your heart's like, let's go, let's do it. And you've got kind of two different opinions. You've got two kind of different voices. And in terms of learning to say no, when people say things to you like, oh, do you want to go out tonight? But you know you want to work on a business, you need to think from here. So here is kind of logical, but if you think from here and you say, look, ideally, this is what I want to be doing in life. This is where I need to be. This is where I truly know who I'm supposed to be and where I want to be in life. Up here is thinking, there could be women out tonight. I don't want to upset my friends. It could end up being a good night. Here is thinking about the long term, the future, what you really want. You need to listen to this voice a lot more. And that will allow you to say, no, look, I need to do this. And then, like we said above, be willing to lose friends and be more selfish with your time. But be willing to say no, because too many people are too agreeable. And the final point is working for yourself. And this is a two-parter. Now, being able to work for yourself is the ultimate level of independence. It's nearly impossible to do. It's very, very hard, but it's doable with enough hard work, patience, and commitment. Here's where a lot of people go wrong. So I think I've explained the first bit enough. Working for yourself, everyone knows what that is. Here's how not to work for yourself. So a lot of people might start a business and then they take away their own independence very quickly by acquiring clients. So if you've got, let's say, a media company, let's say a marketing company that does SEO for companies, you're going to have to acquire clients. And then once you've got those clients, you're at the mercy of their payments. So technically you still have a boss again. It's just the same as before. So if these people tell you, we're not happy with the work you did, we want you to work on this isn't finished, can you do this? Suddenly your own business isn't fun anymore and you're at the mercy of their clients. You're answering to them again. And you kind of have to be soppy and nice again like you were to your boss. And you have to be a bit more agreeable. Otherwise you're going to lose those clients and your whole business is going to fuck up. And because they are responsible for paying you. Your clients are responsible. You need to set up a business very much like First Man, where I give pretty much everything away for free. And then eventually I'm going to ask you guys, I'll tell you what, I'm giving all this content away for free. We're helping you. We're doing podcasts. We're getting experts on. We've gone and filmed a couple of documentaries. We've traveled around the world and found the 10 best gyms. It's a bit of entertainment. You fancy watching it? It's £3 a month. It's nothing. You know, we've made these products that we generally think help you. You can buy them or you don't have to. You know, or we create a certain video project. It might be based around fashion and a fashion brand says we want to sponsor it. We give them a 5-second ad at the start and at the end. They don't tell us what to do. They're not saying, oh, we want this video to happen. We make the video first and then we say, do you want to put your name at the front and the end of this? Sure. We'll give you 5 seconds, 5 seconds, or 10 seconds, 10 seconds, and then straight into the video. Now that is a business that you control. So nobody can tell you we don't like that. You swore in that video. Take that off. You now have full control. And that's something that I always wanted to build. And I finally have it. And do you know what, guys, actually? First Man is now 3,000 views for the month, away from being as big as MSI College was before it's deleted. So we're back and we're nearly better than ever, which is very encouraging. And it took a lot of hard work, about 3 years, I believe, to get back to this stage. So I've not wasted 3 years of my life. I feel like the skills have become better. I know this business better now. It's definitely evolved. It's going to be in a much better place. So I'm happy it happened. But for the final point, that's what you have to do. You have to create your own business. You have to create your own streams of income. And it can't be a business where you're answering to other people. So remember that, guys. There's two parts to being self-employed or, you know, being in control of your own money or your own business. You need to be your own boss. And that doesn't mean that you come into the office and you boss everyone around. You know, that means that you're your own boss in the sense of there's no clients or brands telling you we don't want to do that. Like you look at these YouTubers, the second they say one bad word or they swear or they do one bad thing in public, like get drunk, all of their sponsors pull out. Nobody wants to monetize their videos. YouTube start ending partnerships with them and all their money dries up. You can't have that. You need the Dan Bilzerian approach where he can do anything he wants and he's built this brand around it where it can't be knocked down by the slightest little chink in the armor. So remember that, guys. He's actually a good example. I don't think he's that great a guy, but he's actually a good example of somebody who's independent, who's built his own life, who's protected himself very fucking well. Women signing non-disclosure agreements and handing in their phones when they come into his house. Drake does it. You know, a lot of these guys are very, very smart. I believe a lot of guys in the industry have been fucked over in the past, and you know, the lessons are being learned now. But that's the 9 points, and that's my kind of guide to achieving male independence. Hope you enjoyed it, guys. That's the way to get independence back from your boss, from women, bills, time, etc. Everything that was on that list. I hope it helps, and good luck with everything.